On behalf of the ACLA team, we want to welcome you all today to today's CBO convening. As a quick reminder, this meeting is being recorded and will be made available later on our website and YouTube page. If you have any questions, please be sure to use our Q&A feature as well, so that we can get to them at the end of these four presentations. So today's session, Bridging the Gap, what clinical care teams and CBOs need to know about supporting immigrant families. That is the topic for today's conversation. And we're so glad you could join us today for this important conversation across LA County. Immigrant families are facing unique barriers to care, from navigating complex health systems to accessing resources in moments of crisis or transition. So today is really about coming together across sectors, clinical teams, community-based organizations, and advocates to learn, share, and strengthen our collective response. So whether you work directly with families or build systems that serve them, your presence today reflects a shared commitment to creating these environments where every family feels seen, safe, and supported. And so without further ado, this is our agenda, the intro, which I just briefly went through. These are our speakers for today from Chirla, Bright Life Kids, LAUSD, and Bet Tizek. And we'll have our Q&A at the very end, followed by our closing remarks by our very own Joshua Parsons. And without further ado, we'll hand it off to our speakers.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here, and thank you for all my fellow panelists. It's an honor to be here to presenting with all of you on sort of these really important issues and policies that are directly impacting our communities. My name is Jeanette Sanipatin. I'm the Director of Advocacy and Policy at CHIRLA. I oversee all of CHIRLA's local, state, and federal policy work, as well as help to lead our federal impact litigation team. And as many of you know or may not know, CHIRLA also runs the Los Angeles Rapid Response Network. And so I'm hoping to sort of give you an overview of what we've seen on the ground, which I know many of you are probably fully aware of, as well as give you an overview of some of the key and important state bills that have passed this year. So with that said, I'll go ahead and get started. So just really quickly, Chirla is going to celebrate our 40th anniversary next year. We were founded in 1986, and our mission is really to create a just society that is fully inclusive of immigrants. We work with 5 main pillars of our work, which is grounded in organizing, protecting and preserving what we have, educating both policymakers and community members as well. We also do this via advocacy and really just try to engage members at different levels as well. So really quickly, the Rapid Response Network was something that we founded back in 2008. I won't go into all of the details here, but just for all of you to know, this is really just a way for us to I address and verify any potential ICE enforcement activities that we're seeing within Los Angeles County. As I mentioned previously, CHIRLA spearheads LA County's Rapid Response Network, and to that end, we have several volunteers that help us do this. Our volunteers are trained. They're trained on First Amendment issues. They're also trained on ensuring that they don't interfere with enforcement activities. We want to make sure that our volunteers are safe out there while they're doing their investigation and are talking to individuals. And just to give you a little bit of insight, we revamped our Rapid Response Network in November as soon as the election results were in, right? And then we started initially with around 200 volunteers. We now have over 1,800 volunteers in Los Angeles County alone. That doesn't mean we don't need more. So if you're interested, please let us know, especially as more money and funding is going to be going into immigration enforcement via the BBB bill. We will definitely need more folks on the ground to help us monitor activities. So again, if you have any questions, our hotline is 1-888-624 4752. We really work to this end to provide a rapid response either to potential ICE sightings, folks that may need legal support or legal intake. We also work directly and communicate with families that have been impacted by the raids. And then we also work by engaging governmental agencies and elected representatives, whether it's local, state, and or our members of Congress and our senators to elicit or get more information as some of these immigration enforcement activities come to light. We also work really closely with members of Congress, especially when we get reports of U.S. citizens that are getting arrested, because in many instances it takes us a couple of days sometimes to find folks as well. And we do this to not only coordinate case management and support logistics for the network, but we also do this to collect data and provide the human impact and toll that these raids are having on our community. So just this is a quick overview of how the response network operates. We have our a hotline where folks call in. We have dispatchers that are able to immediately identify the location and try to send the dispatching team for that area. The first responders closest to the sighting is the one that we try to get to go and investigate and verify whether it's an actual ICE sighting or something else. And then to that end, again, we're able to either record, document any human rights abuses, any illegal activity that is happening, as well as interview individuals and impacted individuals to try to get them the support and services that they need as a result of these raids. So really quickly, again, this is sort of what the timeline has looked like in Los Angeles County. We immediately started with Know Your Rights, our campaign and our rapid response network. We saw activity in January, most notably in the Central Valley, which was an operation titled Return to Sender. There was a little bit of overlap between the Biden and Trump administration on those activities. In around February, we started seeing more active enforcement take place, especially with Customs and Border Patrol, since they have more jurisdiction in Southern California, given that they're able to operate within 200 miles of either the southern border or the the ocean, right? And so they were able to be kind of early on the ground. And then in April to May, we also started seeing more and more enforcement activities occur at places like immigration court, at UC CIS during interviews and routine check-ins. So in June to present, what we've witnessed is an all-out assault in Los Angeles County, multi-federal agencies being involved in immigration enforcement, including FBI, DEA, HSI, even post office inspectors, really conducting unwarranted arrest, detentions in courthouses, continued racial profiling based on language, appearance, occupation, clear violations of our First, Fourth, and Fifth Amendment rights. And then we started seeing the overcrowded detention centers, really horrendous conditions either at B18, which is the downtown federal detention center, as well as Adelanto and other places, and the lack of access to both families and access to counsel. And within the same time period, we saw a five-fold increase in immigration enforcement between January and in June. So locations that were targeted, definitely, places of employment, including garment factories, street vending, sidewalks, day labor centers. In fact, Caresen, who operates a day labor center in the Westlake area of Los Angeles, has been hit 4 times at their day labor center. Home Depot also, many locations have been hit 3 or 4 times. Nursing homes, car washes, metro stations, sidewalks, and bus stops as well are places where we've seen a lot of enforcement take place. So this is a heat map that we were able to produce this week to kind of give you an updated view of sort of all the enforcement activity we've seen in Los Angeles County. I will say that by the numbers, Chirla is really only scratching the surface. We are probably documenting around a quarter of all enforcement activities that are coming through our rapid response network. And I say this because we've been able to document about 1,400 enforcement activities but we know that overall, the county has probably seen around 5,000 enforcement activities to date. So we produce this. We have the data that we can produce this almost daily. So we do have reports that go out. But this one we've created for this presentation. So just to give you a flavor of what we're seeing, as you can see, there's some, and as this is broken down by zip codes, if you see the middle section of this slide, those darker areas are where we see the most concentration of enforcement activity. So just to give you sort of a flavor of what's happening in San Fernando Valley, there have been a total of 12 operations. The immigrant population there is about 43,000. I'm sorry, the total population is 43,000. Immigrant population is about 18,000, and Latino population is around 52%. In Pico, Whittier, and Downey, same thing. We are seeing about a 90% population of Latinos, about 30% immigrant population, and their total enforcement activities operations that we've been documented have been around 18. And so what this says to us is, they definitely have been targeting areas where they know is highly immigrant or highly Latino. We've also, just by the zip codes, have been able to assess that they have gone after jurisdictions where we have mayors or predominantly immigrant heavy or people of color in city council as well. And so these are the areas that we've seen like over targeted for enforcement activities. And again, in these areas, we do have teams that are able to go out there. We are providing community ed around Know Your Rights and continue to provide support for individuals in these respective communities as well. So again, this is sort of just a breakdown of what that looks like. You might be able to see this slide a little bit better as well. But this is what we're able to produce almost on a daily basis, given the data that we're collecting and the reports that we're getting on a daily basis. And I will say that in some instances, at the height of some of the enforcement activities, we were able to respond to maybe 8 to 10 activities at any given time, while simultaneously we were aware that there were probably another 12 to 15 enforcement activities happening. And so, again, we're just scratching the surface, but we are still able to collect good data and at least be able to deploy folks to some of those sites where we know continuously are targeted, right, as well. So again, just some of the numbers, we have received at this point over 2,200 calls to our rapid response hotline, about, again, over 2,200 calls reported of sightings of immigration enforcement. In some instances, right, we just try to verify what happened, if it was actually an immigration enforcement activity. During the fires, it was a little bit more difficult because we did have other federal agencies on the ground. And so we just had to sort of ask follow-up questions and sort of verify whether they were there doing fire relief or whether they were there doing immigration enforcement activities. And then we have about almost 800 reports of arrests through the Rapid Response Network, and over 1,100 families reporting the detention of a loved one since the start of this year. So just really quickly, we have over 1,400 folks that we know of that are in detention. We are working with other organizations, including Immigrant Defenders, ACLU, Caresen and other legal immigration service providers on this master detention list. We try to employ teams from different organizations to either go to B18, which is the downtown federal detention center where folks are getting processed, or we send teams of attorneys that go to Adelanto. And this is a shared list that we're working on to try to ensure that these folks are able to have some type of legal intake and access to legal services as well. Right now, we're also, again, working with impacted individuals and families that are connected to Chirla directly. We are working with these families on a weekly basis to ensure that we're able to get intakes with their families who are being detained, that we're able to provide any supportive services that the family may need, including rent assistance, cash assistance, food delivery, any other type of social services or benefits that the family may need to be connected to, as well as case management. And then we're also working with our elected representatives to engage directly with impacted families. We think there's nothing better than an individual that is directly impacted to have a conversation with their member of Congress. And we've been able to facilitate those visits for families one-on-one with their members of Congress, which we think is super insightful so that not only our members of Congress, state representatives, and local representatives can see how folks are being impacted, but we can actually work towards fundamental policy change, right? I'll skip this slide because you'll have a copy of this, but yeah, we could skip that one as well, sorry. So our response, again, this is a multi-sectoral, multiracial actions that we're doing in order to address what's happening. We are working with faith leaders, students as well. We held with our union partners and immigrant right leaders throughout the county a summer of resistance where we had daily actions to support families and to keep the narrative in the press about how this has really impacted community members. To date, we've had over 77,000 people informed through our New York Rights presentations. Again, both legal representation at Adelanto, the detention center closest to LA, which is still about a 2-hour drive, and B18. We continue to engage members of Congress around detention issues. We've gone with members of Congress to conduct oversight at Adelanto and B18. We continue to expand our rapid response network. And then we are also litigating, right? Chirla, along with the ACLU, UFW, Immigrant Defenders, and Delon LA Worker Center are leading the litigation around the LA raids and access to counsel issue at B18. This is the case known as Chirla versus Nome. We actually have a hearing tomorrow on the access to counsel issue. The Supreme Court did lift the TRO with regards to the raids in its shadow docket, but that doesn't have a long-term effect because the case in chief continues to move forward. So I want to just give you one more slide, if you don't mind. I want to just make sure you all understand sort of what are the urgent needs. We do need more removal defense attorneys. We need to expand legal representation. We need cash and food assistance resources for families. Oversight of detention and processing centers is critically important. Mass education for all LA residents of our constitutional and civil rights. Continued investment in mechanisms such as rapid response and other services that we could provide on the ground, and innovative safety net policies to protect immigrant communities. I wanted to give you sort of an update on the bills that passed, and I don't see it in this copy, but let me pull this up really quickly. So we had several bills that passed this legislative session regarding students as well as children of all ages. So the first one is AB 49. It's a bill that ensures that that we develop ICE protocols for schools within the K through 12 system. We're working with the Attorney General's office as well to develop those model policies. We also have SB 98 by Senator Perez, which requires notification if ICE is on campus for a K through 12, community college, CSU, as well, and a UC system to at least provide notification to students, staff, parents, and faculty if ICE is on campus, and they could kick into their protocols when this happens as well. We also just passed AB 495, which is a bill that requires or updates our caregiver affidavit. This is an affidavit that parents who are undocumented or who are arrested or detained can have a caregiver assigned to their child should they be arrested or detained. The bill also creates ICE protocols for child care centers and some duties for them to protect and preserve confidential information of their families as well. It also creates a joint guardianship process. And we've also were able to pass legislation around ICE identification, a bill that would require anyone who is suspected of impersonating a federal officer or police. Our local law enforcement entities are able to ask for identification and verify who they're working for. As well as a bill that we were able to work on ensuring that federal agents do not wear masks to the extent possible. And so, given that, we were able to pass several bills as well around developing protocols for safe locations, including hospitals. SB 81 is one that is going to be implemented in about 81 days. I'm sorry, 45 days that we're working on because this is really uncharted territory for many folks. So I will end there because I know we'll have questions, and I will make sure that you all have a copy of this presentation with all of the bills that passed this year, so that you all can have this after this training. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jeanette. Thank you for the work that Sheila is doing. I feel much better hearing about everything, all the bills, and much more confident that we will be all safe. So thank you so much. My name is Adriana De Franco. I am a community engagement lead at Bright Life Kids. And today I'm going to present this new Cow Hope program. So brief overview, Bright Life Kids, it is a Cow Hope program. We're funded by the state of California. It started in January 2024, and we offer free behavioral health coaching to all California families with kids 0 to 12. There is no cost attached to our program. There is no need for insurance. There is no need for referrals. And there is no questions asked about immigration status. So this is a great services for our families that might be concerned about leaving home, for example, for different reasons, because these are virtual services. The coaching sessions are done one-on-one at this via Zoom, can be on the person's phone or computer. We have coaches that are bilingual, they speak English and Spanish, and we also offer translation in 17 medical languages. That means that families can speak about emotions on their own languages, and we all know how important it is to be able to express sometimes on the language that we spoke first. And for the families that have higher acuity needs, more complex needs, because we're doing coaching, not therapy, we have a coaching specialist. They're our care coordination team that they can provide referrals for the community. And we also have on-demand tools, and these are articles, videos that the families can read on their own time, watch videos on their own time. So different ways for families to take advantage of this free resource in California. I want to talk a little bit, because I know there's a lot of providers on the call today. How do we fit into the care delivery model? So we at Bright Life Kids, we are at the bottom of the pyramid. We're helping the families with prevention and early intervention. So seeing what Sheila, Janet just presented to us and knowing what's happening, a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear, a lot of hard conversations with the kids, right? What's happening, what might happen, right? To someone that we love. So our coaches are here to support families in this type of conversations. During sessions, we can give the families tips, strategies to deal with the extra stress of what is happening with our immigration situation that is happening. Also was important when we had the wildfires in Los Angeles, right? The kids might be afraid of that. So coaches can help families navigate that. We can also help with other things like the tantrums of the little ones, sleeping issues, communication skills, building the self-confidence. For the older kids, friendship, maybe too much social media, too much screen time. So the coaching sessions, the coaches can help the families navigate all that and help families build skills to manage whatever is happening with them. This is us, the bottom of the pyramid, where most of the families are. But of course, some families might need therapy, might need to see a physician, right, to deal with diagnosis, clinical intervention. And that's when we can refer families out if we have to. So in terms of the care delivery model, we come as a prevention and early intervention tool to support families on the day-to-day issues. And because we're serving this large population, right, kids 0 to 12, the way the coaching sessions will work is if the child is 0 to 6, the sessions are parent management training only. Sessions are for the parents. If the child is 6 to 12, then we're offering the dyadic coaching. The parents and the child can join sessions. They can have sessions together. These are joint sessions. Or maybe one session is only for the child. It will be up for the parents and the coach to decide the best way to have the sessions. But from feedback that we hear, older kids enjoy doing the sessions, enjoying the opportunity to talk to another adult with some issues that might be happening with them. So this is the way we're serving the 0 to 12 population. And you're probably wondering, who are our coaches? Because we're not therapists, but our coaches, when we hire them, they have 5 years of direct experience, work with children, youth, and families. They come with a master's degree in a health-related field or a bachelor's degree and a coaching certification. Once we hire them, we train them for another 80 hours. And because when families sign up for our program, families are the ones choosing the best coach that represents them. We have coaches from diverse backgrounds, diverse experiences, so that the families can choose the coach that best represents them and their kids. A little bit how Bright Life Kids can help, right, with the impact of the ACEs and the toxic stress. It's because what we're offering is free, immediate, it's virtual, and very accessible, very easy to sign up services. So we can support the families in these moments, strengthening essential protective factors and actively building resilience skills for the families and for the kids. We share a little bit what we are, right, what we're offering. So here, very specific, we have 4 buckets where families can access our services. And I talked a little bit, I'm just gonna go one by one now. So we have the digital tools. These are on demand. For example, an article, a video that a family can do on their own time. We have the coaching. Coaching sessions are one-on-one. They're once a week. They're 30-minute sessions. And families can have as many sessions as necessary. But because we're doing coach sessions, right, we believe between 5 to 7 coach sessions would be enough for families. That's an average. But they can do less sessions or they can do more sessions if they need. And families can also text the coach in between sessions. So if there is something urgent happening in between sessions, they can text our coaches and we reply for text in 24 hours. Sessions are Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Next slide, please. And also what we offer is the care coordination. And this is for the families that have more complex needs. So we can refer families out for these services, but we can also help them navigate other resources. So if the family shares with us that they need, for example, a food bank or legal representation or help paying a utility bill, we will refer them out to an organization that can support them. And something new that we started this year, it is the Bright Life communities. These are digital peer communities where families can join when they want, ask questions, connect with other parents. We have a moderator there that's there 24/7 to ensure that it's a safe space. And we have 4 age group-based communities and 1 in Spanish. So maybe their family is not ready to have a coaching session, but they want to connect with other families. This would be a great place for them to do that. And how do families sign up? It's very easy. Families go to our website. They need to create an account. I usually say joking, it's like we create an Amazon or a Netflix account, right? We need an email and a password. So it's the same thing. That's all the families need. Once they create the account, we have a 2-minute assessment. It's a simple assessment. Families can do quickly, as I said, in 2 minutes. And once you're done with that, you can already schedule your coaching session. I table a lot. I'm on the field a lot. I help families all the time. And that's really fast that we can schedule the session. Availability for the first session, it's usually next week. And our website translates to Spanish. You can click on the top right, translates everything. And sessions, as I said, can also later, they can have a translator for the 17 medical threshold languages. We also have a 1-800 number that families can call us, and we can help them sign up. Families have to sign up, they have to create an account, but if they call us, we're gonna guide them through the technology to allow them to sign up. And families don't need a referral to use us, but we do have a referral link if you wanna send a referral for ourselves. If you complete the referral link, what we do is like we're gonna reach out to your family via email. So we're not calling the family, we're emailing them saying, here is the link, here is the information for your family to sign up. Some organizations like to use a referral link because they can keep track of how many people they have sent it to us, because we also send you an email back saying, we received the referral for this family. So it's a way for you to keep track. But just remember that families still have to create their own account to use our services. And we're very excited and proud to share that Dr. Diana Ramos, our California Surgeon General, and Dr. Soot, our director of the CYBHI, has signed a letter highlighting the importance of Bright Life Kits. So this is a big recognition for us. We're very grateful that they have signed this letter. And we're gonna share the deck with all of you, so you're gonna have access to all this information. And a little bit of celebration. We launched it in January 2024. Since there, 250,000 kids have enrolled in our services. We can only do this because we have partners like all of you. We have built trust in the community, right? And you are all sharing our services with your families. So I'm grateful for being here today, for presenting to you all. And if you have not heard about us before, hopefully we can start this partnership and more families that need these services can reach for free services in California. What is really exciting is that 77% of families says this is the first time they have services like ours, Behave Healthful Care. 63% are coming from undersourced communities. 73% identify as BIPOC. And 80% says the coaching goals were met. So this is all. Thank you for you all that we've been doing the work. We've been reaching families that might not have access to the services. So I'm really so grateful to be here again, as I said before, and I thank you for inviting me for this presentation. And how can we keep this collaboration going on? If you wanted me to present to your organization, please invite me. If you want to receive printed material, I can send you flyers. If you have an in-person event where your families would benefit to have me there, helping them sign up, invite us. We'll do our best to be present. And I always like to have a one-on-one with anyone, to talk with you all, to share anything you might need. I'm quick to reply to emails, so reach out to me, and I'll be very happy for us to continue this conversation. A lot of school districts also have us listed on their website, send our information to parents. So we have different ways to help you spread the word. And I'm always happy to be inventive, creative. If you have other ideas, I'm here. We'll love to partner with all of you. Almost done with my presentation. This is our sister organization. So Bright Life Kids, we support 0 to 12, parents with kids 0 to 12, and the state Cal Hope also has Soluna. Soluna, like us, free, confidential, easy to use, but for the youth. So Soluna is for the 13 to 25 years of age. They go to the Soluna app and they start quickly sharing with a professional coach about anything that might be happening with them. I'm gonna share also the information about that on the follow-up. So that's it for me. I'm again so grateful for all of you to having me here. Thank you so much. This is our social media. We have a lot of, if you like social media, follow us. If you wanna learn more about us, here is the QR code. It's not signing up here, it's just, we call this a sneak peek. Yeah, sorry, I missed the word. Sneak peek. So you can watch a video, you can read an article, you can see what your families would see without signing up. But if you have kids 0 to 12, I highly recommend that you sign up and you try our services so you can speak from your own experience. And thank you again, and I look forward for your questions at the end. Thank you.
Good afternoon. It's such a delight to be with you here this afternoon. Again, my name is Antonio Placencia, and I'm the Senior Director of Engagement at Los Angeles Unified. Before this administration, Los Angeles Unified had already activated during the first Trump administration our LAUSD Standing with Immigrant Families campaign. For partners who may be from the greater Los Angeles area, you may recall that in our first version, we had this beautiful emblem of a mosaic developed by our student leaders who shaped the campaign. And it brought this image of the Graduate of Liberty spin-off of our Statue of Liberty. As we transitioned toward the end of the presidential election, at the final weeks of the election, we started to put in place and the safeguards and resources that are a part of this next evolution of our campaign, which is now entitled LAUSD 2025, We Are One. Through this campaign, we have arranged our internal rapid response network at Los Angeles Unified that includes representatives from all departments and is a direct call to action of board resolutions and policies that have been endorsed and approved by our Los Angeles Unified School Board. And through my presentation today, I will be guiding you through some of the very, I would say, progressive and heroic supports that have been put in place. And one key takeaway as you go through the next set of slides is for you to think about connecting with the various school districts and the educational service providers in the communities where you serve. Think about how you bring up the question about how they too can amplify and support our families who are struggling in these times because of the current climate that is surrounding us, so that they too can offer these resources and supports. As we interact with partners across LA County, we're observing that in addition to Los Angeles Unified, the LA County Office Department of Education is another valuable leader who has been curating resources. And we hope that our districts are promoting LACO's resources as well as ours because they meet the same end in mind, helping families feel safe, supported, informed, and ready to take action. I'll be guiding you through highlights of our back to school resources. You'll love the story about how those evolved in the process of developing our back to school procedures. We will also share with you the curated supports from Los Angeles Unified. I included those in the chat for the broader audience to access, but do note that all of the materials that I'm going to be reviewing with you in a moment are available at Los Angeles Unified and beyond. The resources are available on our public website, and I will be guiding you through highlights of some of those today. As you'll see on screen, we have maintained what we try to arrange as a resource that can address the multiple perspectives of service providers and students and families and educators across the Los Angeles Unified. Our lausd.org/we are one is the hub where we make available the various tools, resources, family preparedness plan information, videos, pre-recorded webinar presentations that we make available to our families. When you visit the website, again, it's lausd.org. The main page provides you these icons that you see in front of you that include the red cards, family preparedness plan templates, our resource guide that I'll speak to in a moment, and very simple videos of general Know Your Rights information. We also, for those of you that are maybe in the policy realm that are trying to think about what are policies and bulletins and practices that Los Angeles Unified is implementing to support families, those are also referenced there. We want to make sure that our messaging around schools as safe zones are not just an item for immigration, but as you'll see in our documents that are posted on our website, everything we are doing is around the context of school safety. In the state of California, our school sites are tasked to develop a school safety plan. And as a part of the supports for immigrant youth and families, the supports for immigration specifically have been integrated and arranged into our collective work at Los Angeles Unified. Our website, if you go under the resources tab, you'll see a drop-down menu that pops up at the top left-hand corner of the page. And you'll see that we have organized very helpful instruments for our families. One includes an immigration specific tab that we make available. And the second one that I'll reference is one of our partners, the YMCA of Greater Los Angeles, has started a meal delivery program where if families either email or call the organization using the contact information on our website, families can receive fresh produce and long shelf life meal items that are sent to the home of families who have expressed concerns with leaving their homes, just given the amplified, ICE related activity that is happening in our communities. As I was observing the maps of Chirla, you will notice that our areas that are impacted within the LA Unified boundaries include the San Fernando Valley and the hub of Central Los Angeles, which is one of the most diverse and most the sectors of multilingualism in the Greater Los Angeles Unified community. So please spend some time jigsaw with your parent groups, with individuals in your network, and when you have an opportunity, invite other school districts to join us in this opportunity of informing and preparing their families. We were very proud because as we started preparing for the back to school coordination, Superintendent Carvalho, I invite you to Google his information, his media story that he's offered. He has a very compelling story. He's an immigrant from Portugal and really understands and has great empathy and connection, having lived the experience as an immigrant himself. And as we started the school year, he tasked our offices to arrange a family preparedness care package that was a more simplified version of the Immigration Legal Resource Center family preparedness plan. Many families were saying, I need something that's going to be that first step to understand what family preparedness means. This is a cover letter, and if you go to our website, you can download the care package and the letter. And this is a very thoughtful message of warmth that we wanted to communicate to families. Because for those of you that are representing school systems or that work with school systems, we were fairly concerned about what the trajectory would look like in the area of attendance. We were concerned about the first day of school having a significant decline. These actions, like the one of this care package, helped LA Unified start the first day of school with an attendance trend that was higher than last year's by 2%. That speaks volumes about the roles of schools and the trust and the confidence that our families have in public educational institutions. So it's important that we be bold and that we share families what are their constitutional rights and the role of educators in providing those safe spaces for our families. This is an example of the Family Preparedness Care Package. And I want to highlight the Family Preparedness Care Package because when the superintendent tasked our teams to develop this document, you'll notice that it's very infographic based. The graphics, the whole template was developed by our Link Learning summer interns. In our student empowerment unit, we have a student empowerment unit in the Office of Student, Family, and Community Engagement. We invited our students to review the family preparedness plans available through various organizations. And let me tell you, they are going to put ChatGPT out of business. In a matter of a day or two, they had developed various templates and sort of visions of what this document would look like. And they were the ones that essentially came together. They put together 6 templates of visions of students that became the beautiful care package that you see here. I won't go deep into this. I think for those of us doing the work around engagement on Know Your Rights workshops and the overall family preparedness package pieces, we were very excited to work with our partners at Chirla, at Garesen, also Betserek, who's here today, to map together and ensure, as we are not legal experts, they have been very thoughtful in helping us plan ahead and arrange instruments like the one you see here. In addition to that, we have convened every month our Know Your Rights and our general partners on Los Angeles Unified. In the chat, I put my email. If you are in the LA County area and you want to join our monthly Know Your Rights and partner convening sessions that we host, we invite you to please join us. I will share that we have a Know Your Rights workshop at LA Unified since version 1.0 of this campaign that includes a PowerPoint and a facilitator guide. We are empathetic and understanding that Chila, Betserek, Caresen, and many others are really overwhelmed because of the demand of phone calls that they're getting. They have built our capacity, and we now have a informational Know Your Rights workshop that includes Know Your Rights information, basic immigration related resources and information, health, housing, and education rights. In the context of this workshop, we want to de escalate the sense of anxiety, the sense of frustration, the fear, and the moments of lost hope that our families are feeling. So, we worked alongside our Department of Mental Health. And guess what? Our presentation opens with messages on the importance of what is resilience. How do you cultivate resilience as a parent, as a caretaker? And then how do we transmit that over for our children? And how do we build those healthy habits of developing resilience and solid and very firm psychological first aid? I always get emotional when I present that segment because you can feel the sorrow and the feel of our families. But at the end, we try to show light and we let families know that they are and will continue to be the light not only for their children, but their church and their communities. So, with that, we offer our weekly Know Your Rights workshops, both in the mornings and in the PMs weekly. It's a workshop model in a webinar, in a Zoom work meeting, because we don't want the webinar field to create a boundary or a barrier of engagement. So, our Know Your Rights workshops are the first and third Fridays from 9 to 10:30 and the second and fourth Fridays from 5 to 6:30. We have representatives who present from our partner organizations that are in our coalition, our family educator coaches, and our mental health colleagues from the school mental health department. And we share in co-facilitating, offering simultaneous translation, but it becomes a space of community. We're mindful of the safeguards, so we ask participants to turn off their cameras. We leave their first name, and we have someone monitoring the chat to ensure that it is safe and welcoming for all. If you want to join us at our next Know Your Rights segment, it will be this afternoon. In the afternoon this Friday, and you can see the the Zoom meeting details that are projected here. We also activated our family hotline. At Los Angeles Unified, we have a family hotline that is available with live personnel. Our family hotline team is on from 7:30 to 4:30 p.m., but we also have an evening and 24 hours support dispatch system. If families call with an immigration emergency, someone was detained, I need help, I need mental health support, we arrange for a team to activate a rapid response support within our district, and we triage it, whether it's mental health, housing, um, just joy wellness related support and follow through, which is addressed by the district. And we also work with our Betsetics, Chila Caresen partners to bring real time immigration assistance to our families. Families that might say, hey, I have to appear before court this week or next week, or I have an emergency where my partner was detained. What do I do? We have this activated system. On Sundays, I get an email. We jump right to it through our internal rapid response system. As you'll see, it's 24 hours. It's a number that our families can call for the parent portal to volunteer, to access Medi-Cal. It's a one-stop shop for our families. So this is our resource guide. This is what I call my catechism booklet. This is what I call my catechism booklet or my Sunday school booklet. This is a document that we developed with Chila Careza and Betsetic and our Know Your Rights partners. And it is an instrument that if school systems that you support, we have parent and family centers in 97% of our schools, meaning there's a classroom that is called a parent center where parents can build community, engage in workshops, and we call them watch parties. Whenever we have webinars or Zoom workshops, we invite families to connect there in the safety of their community to enjoy in a Know Your Rights workshop, for example. We jigsaw this guide. It's our Know Your Rights resource guide. I invite you to download it. It's available today for free 99. And the wonderful piece about it is that it includes the message on the district's sort of values. It includes valuable resources for immigration, all of our partners in Greater LA. It includes a section on basic Know Your Rights and immigration information, health, housing, and education rights, and it parallels our workshop for coherence. I'll wrap up by just talking to you about our curated supports so that you're probably asking yourself, Antonio, how are you working with partner organizations? This is a picture of one of our monthly partner organizations. As a school district, we value listening and learning. And as you'll notice, this is one of my colleagues who is scripting feedback from our service providers in the community, letting us know what they need and how we can complement and amplify what they're doing and vice versa. So want to let you know, as a system, we are training our schools every semester on our procedures. I don't know if for those of you that might not be in LA County, we had 2 incidents on the same day last school year where ICE attempted to enter one of our campuses. No, no, no. We have safeguards in place. We are grounded in the Constitution, and our school administrators responded heroically and ensured that our school sites maintained to be safe spaces. We have our rapid response team arranged for our own school police department, our operations teams and personnel to redirect and attend those persons on the sidewalk. The principals were very valuable in guiding our policies, and we're offering refreshers routinely so that our school administrators feel supported because it's harsh just thinking about the experience of having to lead a school and having to think about safety and then having individuals come to your doorstep. So our school teams were trained. They were provided the messaging toolkit that all principals received, resources, know your rights session information. We also develop with our community partners a safety and safe passage system where we work with our labor partners, with community-based organizations to offer a safe zone transition as we started the first days of school, the first week of school, so that families felt safe and supported. We also expanded our transportation. Think about it. Families feeling worried about having their kiddo walk to school. We brought our buses to the doorstep of the kiddo's household and to the school step to drop them off and ensure as a part of our school safety plans. And continuity of learning, we continue to offer our virtual academy options where our families are able to enroll if that is their best option for schooling to continue learning in the virtual academy. So this is a sheet that we developed for our partners on how to activate and bring us into the mix if they're learning that a family may have experienced an emergency. We're inviting our partners like yourselves to also amplify our materials. So we developed a quick reference tool to support during urgent situations that allow our partners to understand our phone numbers, who to call. If you see something, say something. If you see ICE, we had an incident yesterday where ICE was around one of our secondary schools within like 2 blocks, like reporting that to us so that our school police and our school operations teams are able to be dispatched. We were also, working with Los Angeles School Police Department. We have our own school police department that is trained on restorative practices, SEL. They truly function more so as counselors to care for and nurture our students. And they've been brought in to be a force of support. And we also develop for our partners a communications toolkit. We always think about our schools, like the email message, the text message you can send out, the social media graphics. We evolved and adapted a version for our partners like yourselves because you are vital to helping us promote the message of We Are One. So with that, I say thank you. Again, as I opened, I invite you to connect with your superintendents and school system leaders across the geographic space of California to make the question. LA Unified and LACO and others have built a template of support of the role school sites can play following the law. How can we partner with them to amplify the message of LAUSD We Are One? Thank you.
Thank you, Antonio. Good afternoon. My name is Caitlin Sajese, and I'm a staff attorney with the Preventing and Ending Homelessness Project at Betzedek Legal Services, and I'm going to be discussing housing and immigration and protecting tenants' rights in Los Angeles. Just a little bit about our organization. We are a nonprofit civil legal services agency founded in 1974 with over 110 staff and over 50 attorneys. We provide free legal services, education and outreach, policy advocacy, and impact litigation for seniors and dependent adults, Holocaust survivors, workers, taxpayers, and small business owners, tenants, homeowners, and unhoused individuals, children and families, and transgender individuals. So the purpose of my program, specifically the Preventing and Ending Homelessness Project, is to remove legal barriers to safe and stable housing. We assist unhoused or those who are imminently at risk of being unhoused by addressing any housing conditions that would result in self-evictions. Like, for example, a landlord threatening a tenant with an eviction and the tenant's just so scared or doesn't know what to do, or that they have rights that they just decide to vacate the unit, or being pushed out of the unit both legally through the formal court process and illegally, like a landlord just changing a tenant's locks. So our team assists with a number of legal issues, including housing-specific issues like evictions, providing representation and defending tenants in court, housing rights such as illegal housing application denials, illegal rent increase and habitability issues, harassment and discrimination, reasonable accommodation requests, preservation or reinstatement of Section 8 vouchers, and then also some non-housing issues like public benefit denials such as SSI or IHSS appeals, and eviction record sealing and some limited criminal expungement. So I just want to go over some general California tenant protections. Every California tenant who pays rent has rights under state law. I'm going to go through each of them in more depth, but just to list them out. Every tenant has the right to live in a safe and habitable home, the right to a written notice of entry, rent increases, and a permitted reason for eviction, the right to a formal legal process prior to an eviction, the right to exclusive use and enjoyment of the space they rent, and freedom from harassment, discrimination, and retaliation. So going a little bit more in depth into the right to live in a safe and habitable home, some common habitability issues that can make a unit uninhabitable include things like mold, leaks in the ceilings or walls, broken heaters, pests, vermin, or rodent infestation, broken windows or doors, electrical issues, the utility shut off or having no hot water, and hazardous materials like asbestos. We've found that there are some recurrent specific barriers for immigrant tenants that can be from language barriers or a lack of awareness that they have the right to a habitable unit, to a fear of a landlord retaliating against them for requesting repairs by threatening to call ICE, or hesitation to complain to a government agency about their habitability issues for fear that letting inspectors into their unit could impact their immigration status. But it is important to know that all tenants, regardless of status, have the right to a habitable home. Landlords must make repairs and maintain living conditions, and landlords retaliating against tenants for reporting living conditions is illegal. So getting more into the right to a written notice, landlords must provide a 24-hour written notice to enter a tenant's unit. City inspectors also have to provide written notice, and this is usually sent a few weeks before the scheduled inspection. Tenants also have the right to a written notice of rent increase. There are protections in place to limit rent increases, but this depends on where the tenant lives in the city or county of Los Angeles. Generally speaking, though, landlords must provide at least 30-day written notice of rent increase. Again, this can get complicated and depends on where the tenant lives, so please refer those tenants to us and we would be happy to look into it. And then tenants also have the right to a written eviction notice, and the landlord must have a valid reason to evict a tenant. There are two different categories of evictions. The first is an at-fault eviction, which is the landlord claiming that the tenant did something wrong, like they didn't pay their rent, violated their lease in some way, maybe committed a nuisance or some type of illegal activity in the unit. And then there's also no-fault evictions, which means the tenant did nothing wrong, but the landlord wants the unit back. And some examples of that are that they want to move into the unit themselves, they want to demolish the unit or the building, or they want to take the unit off the rental market. So there is a formal legal process for an eviction. A landlord is not allowed to lock a tenant out of their unit, like change the locks or throw their belongings out onto the curb. This is illegal. Every tenant being evicted has to go through this formal legal process, which starts with a pre-eviction notice. So, like I mentioned in the last slide, the landlord must provide a tenant with a written eviction notice. Examples include notice to pay rent or move out. If the tenant didn't pay their rent, that's one of those at-fault evictions I mentioned. There's also notice to cure or quit if the tenant breached their lease or committed some type of nuisance. Again, that's one of those at-fault evictions. And then there's also notices to quit. That's a no-fault eviction, which again could mean the landlord wants to move into the unit themselves, wants to demolish the unit, or take it off the rental market. After the time on the pre-eviction notice expires, landlords are able to then file an eviction through the court. Tenants must be served with a big stack of court documents. It's called a summons and complaint. Tenants respond to those court documents with what is called an answer within 10 business days. That's excluding weekends or court holidays, but still goes by very quickly. Or the court will decide against the tenant. So even if the tenant has the best defenses in the world, thinks that there's no way my landlord can evict me, if they don't file an answer, they could automatically lose the case. They could then get what's called a default judgment against them. That stays on their record for 7 years. It makes renting in the future extremely difficult, bad for their credit. It's something we want to avoid at all costs. So after the answer is filed, then their court dates will be scheduled and the tenants must appear at that hearing. These cases can go a number of ways. They can reach a settlement, like the tenant gets to stay in their unit or maybe gets some time to move out. It can go to trial, which can be either a bench trial, which is just in front of the judge, or a jury trial, which is in front of a panel of their peers, or it can get dismissed. If a tenant loses at trial or doesn't file that answer, the landlord may request what's called a writ of possession, and that's where the sheriff comes out and posts a final notice on the tenant's unit. If this happens, it gives the tenant really little to no time to gather their belongings and move out. So what does the right to exclusive use and enjoyment mean? That means that tenants have the right to enjoy their leased unit and included amenities without interference from the landlord or other parties. So landlords cannot enter the tenant's unit or interfere without proper reason or notice, and tenants are entitled to live without harassment, intimidation, or disruption. There are some valid reasons why a landlord can enter the rental unit, and those include responding to an emergency that threatens life or property, to make repairs or alterations that are necessary or that have been agreed upon between the landlord and tenant, to show the place to potential buyers, tenants, or repair workers, if the tenant has given the landlord permission to enter, or if the tenant has abandoned the premises or the landlord has obtained a court order. Examples of violations when a landlord cannot enter are without notice, written notice, again, unless it's an emergency of life or property, conduct repeated inspections or photograph tenants' belongings, remove tenants' belongings or lock them out of their unit, or harass a tenant or do anything that makes them feel unsafe. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about freedom from harassment, discrimination, and retaliation. So the City of Los Angeles enacted the Tenant Anti-Harassment Ordinance, which became effective on August 6, 2021. This ordinance prohibits landlords in all residential properties from harassing tenants by removing housing services, withholding repairs, or refusing to accept rent payments. So how they define tenant harassment is a landlord's bad faith, which refers to willful, reckless, or grossly negligent conduct directed at a specific tenant or tenants that causes the tenant detriment or harm. So there's a fairly long list of things a landlord is prohibited from doing, which is considered tenant harassment, but a few we wanted to highlight are threatening to report a tenant to ICE or other federal agencies, intimidation or verbal abuse referencing immigration status, not making repairs or withholding services to force a tenant to self-evict, entering the unit without proper written notice, or asking a tenant for documents to prove their legal status. So that ordinance was specific to the City of Los Angeles, but there's also Assembly Bill 291, which explicitly protects immigrant tenants and says that all California renters should not have to fear intimidation and retaliation in their homes. And specifically, this bill prohibits landlords from threatening to report tenants to immigration authorities, codifies an existing defense to unlawful evictions based on immigration status, prohibits questions about tenants' immigration status in discovery or at trial, prohibits attorneys from reporting or threatening to report the immigration status of persons involved in housing cases, provides tenants the right to sue landlords who report them to immigration authorities, and bars landlords from disclosing information related to tenants' immigration status. So just a few tips that tenants should take if they believe they are being harassed or discriminated against. Please keep records, save all texts, emails, any type of messages, notices, photos, repair requests, log date and time and as many details as possible. Please don't leave the unit, don't self-evict. You do have rights, and seek legal help by contacting Betzedic, and report these issues to the Los Angeles Housing Department and the California Civil Rights Department. So I know I just threw a ton of information at everyone, so if you have any specific questions or you want to refer a tenant to us, please email my colleague, Denise Onchimolina. Her email is included here. And thank you all so much for having us and for putting this presentation on. Really appreciate it.
Well, on behalf of the Los Angeles County Department of Health Services and the ACES LA Network of Care, I would like to extend our most sincere gratitude to our presenters, Jeanette, Adriana, Antonio, and Caitlin. Thank you for your contributions to our convening today, and obviously, thank you so much for your service to our community. At this time, we would like to open up the floor to our illustrious audience. So if something jumped out at you during the presentation that is simply too interesting to let pass without comment, or you have a burning question for one of our presenters, please either raise your hand so we can unmute your mic so we can have you ask the question, or if you're like me and you prefer to operate from the shadows, do feel free to post your question or comment in the chat. I think I did see a hand raised, but I think, I think they chickened out. Okay, that's all right. No judgment here. We did have a couple of questions that were submitted through our portal during registration. And so we have questions for each of the panelists, but I'll just kind of go about one by one to see what your responses might be here. So here's an interesting one from from Kelsey, one of our physicians at All of You, and this question is directed toward Bright Life. She's curious about how the uptake has been for Bright Life, and she just wants to make sure, I guess, that that operations and the services that you're offering are going to continue to be offered during what she describes as uncertain fiscal times. I know that's a concern for us personally in ACES LA. I know it's a concern for all of our CBO partners. So just yeah, question about uptake and how everything is operating over there. Yeah.
Thank you, Joshua. Thank you, Dr. Kelsey, for your question. We have guarantee funding for the next year already. So until fiscal year June 2026, we're confident for another year as well, part of the contract. Of course, right? Nothing's guaranteed in life, but we're very confident, especially we're hitting the numbers, exceeding the expectations, serving so many families, and the importance of our work. So thank you for asking. So right now, yes. And the more people that use our services, right, the more we have to show the importance. So please keep sharing and referring our services.
Absolutely. Yeah. Just a quick follow-up to that, actually. We have just a comment from Tran from our Hudson Clinic. She says here, I have given out so many flyers for Bright Life, but she says she has no idea if her patients have connected successfully. So do you know if any patients have come recommended from Hudson, and if you can tell any of the clinicians there whether or not you've caught them or received them?
Thank you. This is a great question. For PII reasons, we don't have this way of sharing how families came to us. This is a request we get from a lot of clinics and providers. We're working on that. I can promise that it's coming soon, but it's something that we're working on so that we can families signing up, a release of information, of course, or a way that at least we could tell you so many families came from your clinic. I would highly recommend that you also use our referral link. Give the family the flyer, but use the referral link because then we can keep track on that as well. We know it's coming from you. So I'd love to have a follow-up question as well with the Hudson Clinic. And I appreciate you so much for sharing. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you. Okay, we have a question for who's this from? Lucio Juarez de Soto from All of You asks, and this question is directed toward Bet Zedek. Resources for unhoused children, specifically, is this something that that Bet Zedek is able to offer? Yeah, that's the extent of it. Caitlin?
Yes, thank you for asking. I'm not sure if we have a specific program for that or referral for that, but I can definitely check with my team and supervisor and get back to you, but nothing that I'm aware of at the moment. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. Okay, so we have another question here. This one is from Judy Venegas from LA General. This one goes to this would be you, Antonio, at LAUSD. Are there any changes or reductions to the special education program? And I don't know if this is something that you can ask specifically, but they're wondering how this is going to affect the families that are relying on this program. Is that something you can speak to, or is that outside the scope?
We engage most of the questions. You know, the district is in terms of this immigration landscape, our programming is functioning as is done. With regard to the IEP process, the individual education plan for students, or the arrangement of the 504 to establish accommodations for students. That is running as a custom practice. We are, making adaptations to arrange services for our children or students that may transition from an in-person learning environment to a virtual academy. But those are like the same procedures and functions that we have in place at the district.
Okay. Fantastic. Thank you so much. Okay, checking the status of our audience here really quick. Okay, I don't see any hands raised for the time being, so I'm just gonna make one more appeal to the audience. Speak now or forever hold your peace, as they say. But in any case, I would like to just from a personal place, I would just like to thank everyone, Caitlin, Antonio, Adriana, Jeanette, just the protections that you offer, and just the sense of, so often I think we watch the news, we are hearing the reports from the streets, we are hearing it from our friends, our families, our neighbors, uh, and it's heartbreaking. It is heartbreaking. But hearing what it is that your organizations are doing, and um, I don't know if I would call it resistance necessarily, but you're protecting the rights, the existing inalienable rights of the individuals within our community. It it brings me such hope and joy, and it is just such an honor to hear about these protections you're offering, and I think our communities will only stand to continue to benefit from it. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, I think I think that might do it for the Q&A session, actually. So I think let's just go on to the next slide. All right. So, all right, just a few pieces of housekeeping first. Everybody here is going to be receiving a survey about this convening. So I do understand that no one likes to fill out surveys. I get it. Really, I do. But this one is different. Why? Well, because it's us, right? We're your friends. And we, of course, want to make sure that we continue to do right by all of you with the time that you spend with us. So please help us out. Fill out the survey if you can. And a really quick something we discussed mentioning earlier today during our kind of morning palaver. Kind of as the holidays are approaching, we would please remind all of our CBO partners to please share flyers of upcoming events, food drives, gift distributions, so that we as a network can pull all of our resources together to help families that are in need across the county. So please send your resources to my associate, Julie Reyes Flores. I would put her email up on the screen, but I don't have access to that right now. But it's jreyesflores@dhs.lacounty.org. We will provide that after the presentation today, so all of our CBO partners have that. And we will then distribute the information across our many platforms. So again, thank all of you for your partnership. We greatly appreciate it. And we're ending with a quote here from Coretta Scott King: "The greatness of a community is most accurately measured by the compassionate actions of its members." And I think all of that has been on clear display today. So thank you so much. Thank you all for your partnership. Obviously, thank you, thank you, thank you. And then thank you for attending. Thank you to all of our wonderful CBOs who make up this network of care. We absolutely could not do this without you. I guess this is us. Until next time, have a wonderful day. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll see you again soon. Take care, everybody.